Hey everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV. I'm Steve Hall. We have just been joined by Paul Gorst for Journo Insights in the studio. We spoke about Trent Alexander-Arnold, which you're about to see now. We also, in the full show, spoke about Joe Gomez, Federico Chiesa, any other potential transfers that could happen for Liverpool in January. If you want to check out the entire show, it is available over at redmenplus.com. But for now, check out me and Paul talking about this Trent Real Madrid situation. Right then, obviously, let's talk. We talked about it at the top of the show. Trent Alexander-Arnold, this whole situation. So, for clarity, for those of you, maybe you just switched off from football for a few days, and I wouldn't have blamed you. Real Madrid made an approach to Liverpool to sign Trent Alexander-Arnold in January. Obviously, I'm reading this from the Liverpool Echo Paul's story on New Year's Eve, 5:45, not too bad for you. Real Madrid are believed to have made contact with Liverpool bosses on New Year's Eve. Obviously, Trent now officially can talk to Real Madrid ahead of a summer move for nothing. His contract expires in the summer. Real Madrid obviously suffering with injuries. Danny Carvajal's out for a long time, of course. They need a right back, and they've pushed the button, Paul, and they've made the approach, which was rejected by Liverpool. But obviously, since then, this story, it's a massive story. It's probably the biggest story in a season where Liverpool are on for winning some major honours. We're here with Trent Alexander-Arnold's a major story and contracts and stuff, but just talk me through the whole timeline then, Paul. So where are we? Where are we at? What's the latest? Because, it feels like a very messy situation so far. Yeah,
so Real Madrid made an approach, like I said at the top of the show. There's some, conflicting sort of suggestions of when exactly it was, but I think it's fair to say, I'm not going to be totally shot down if you say it was New Year's Eve when the approach was made. Very puzzling timing, given that they can speak directly to the player and his representatives from January the 1st, but it looks like they are looking to do a deal this month because, like you say, Danny Carvajal's been out now for a number of months, hasn't he? And I think supporters expected the interest to increase once Carvajal went down with that ACL injury, and Real Madrid feel that at 26 years old, Trent Alexander-Arnold can be the heir apparent at right back. What I would say is Liverpool rebuffed it. No thoughts of entering into dialogue over transfer negotiations or anything like that. Liverpool see him as their player for the rest of the season and is full steam ahead for a Premier League title charge. Liverpool also haven't given up hope of sorting a new deal out for Trent. Talks have been ongoing. And as of yet, it doesn't appear as though any breakthrough is imminent. And when you've got Real Madrid sort of on the other end of the line, I suppose from Trent's perspective, you can see why, it might be a conflicting thing. But Liverpool are still looking to time down for a new deal. I think there'll be no... from the conversation side, it never really got as far as it's X amount of money for Trent in January, but it's since come out, I think, from sort of the Madrid end that they're willing to pay 20 million euros, was it? Or maybe 20 million pound. I just think he's more valuable to Liverpool for the rest of the season, trying to win the Premier League, seeing how they get on in the Champions League, and then if he does leave on a free, then it is what it is, and Liverpool haven't been able to conclude the deal. But what I would say is all hope certainly isn't being seen as lost at the moment from Liverpool's end. They are still trying to do the deal, get him over the line and get his best years at the club. So I think we're in for a busy month of speculation, but I think one thing is certain, Liverpool are not looking to sell him this month.
I was going to say, on that, let's start with there then, because that's obviously the most pressing matter. It's hard to think of a figure that Liverpool would accept. You know what, we're trying to win the league, we're trying to win the Champions League, we're in all 4 competitions, we're in a cup semi-final in a couple of weeks' time as well, don't forget. What's the number? If Madrid came with £100 million and Trent gave you the nod that he wants to go, then that's a different conversation, but it's hard to think of a realistic number especially now, listen, Conor Bradley's injured, Joe Gomez is injured, like Liverpool don't have any other senior right backs available anyway. It's hard, there's not really what you call a logical monetary value that Liverpool could go, we'll take it now, even if he does want to go in the summer.
I'm even surprised Real Madrid are looking to cough up that now, to be honest, because they can get him in 6 months, and maybe they feel that they absolutely need him in this month to supplement their own Champions League defence, the La Liga defence, if you like. But I was surprised at hearing that Real Madrid are willing to sort of pay this month when, if the player is really interested in what you've got to offer, then they can get him in 6 months for nothing, and they don't have to do any negotiation with Liverpool. So It's no shock, is it, that Real Madrid have made it known that they're interested in Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's something that's been speculated on for maybe a number of years now, never mind months. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, what I would say is Liverpool definitely not thinking of selling him this month. And you think of what he can provide to the team from a creative standpoint. If say they were to sell him for 20 million and it looks better on the books, pure profits and all that sort of stuff, and you're getting 20 million instead of nothing. But somewhere later on this season, if Liverpool don't have Alexander-Arnold and he draw a game 0-0, say, and it's massively impacts them winning the league, Alexander-Arnold could have unlocked that defence that game. He could have made the difference, and I think Liverpool will see that as more valuable than a relatively paltry fee this month.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had to see Madrid stump up to any type of number that Liverpool would deem, it's worth doing. From Madrid point of view, I suppose, with the Carvajal injury and, they're in title race now, them and Atletico Madrid, it looks like at this current time, Barcelona aren't far off it. They're having a terrible, by their standards, Champions League campaign. You'd expect them still to perhaps turn that round, but, if they are suffering a little bit, you can see why they've chanced their arm. Is there also, maybe Paul, something in this, and again, this is maybe reading between plenty of lines, this is their way of just showing Trent how much they want him. Almost like, nothing's decided yet, but we were willing to pay a bit of dough for a player we can get. They kind of did this a little bit with Kylian Mbappe. There was talk of bids going around before they got him for nothing as well. Is it just them chancing around? Yeah, we might get it. Liverpool might just accept it, but also it isn't the worst way to show a player that you really want him to sign for you when you're willing to pay money for him when you could get him for nothing effectively a few months later. Yeah,
that's a good way of looking at it. And what that would suggest to me is there hasn't been any major encouragement from Alexander-Arnold's camp to Real Madrid. They're, it's all signed and sealed and everyone's just got to sit on their hands. So there is work to be done from the Real Madrid end if they are to get him in, if, going on that theory. And I think that is one that does make sense. But yeah, everything that I've had sort of communicated to me is that there's been no decision yet from Alexander-Arnold. He said in September, didn't he, that he was a Liverpool player until the end of the season. So, that was only in September. Would he be willing, has his mind changed on that now, where he's willing to go mid-season? I'm not sure what would give him what would make him think that it's worth doing, because you look at what's happening now on the pitch with Liverpool and it's hugely exciting, isn't it? Runaway Premier League leaders, if you can describe them as that, given Arsenal won last night. Certainly title favourites at this stage. The Champions League, they're absolutely flying in that. Who knows what they can achieve there as well. So even if you are sort of thinking that this might be my last year, why would you want to cut it short in the middle of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on there. We've got the Madrid stance. We've got the Liverpool stance, and they're kind of conflicting because there's reports in Spain saying, Trent's kind of give Madrid the nod that, he fancies the move. Liverpool are saying, no, actually, he hasn't told us that either. Yeah. But let's look at it from Trent's point of view. The starting point actually for this is he scores a goal against West Ham, and he does this, for those listening, I'm doing the Trent celebration. There's a lot of noise. Anthony Gordon did actually, when he scored against Liverpool, it was a very similar celebration, like the chatter.
Crab-hands.
Whatever, maybe he's just playing the masquerade. Maybe he's going to Spain, he's just playing the maracas, I don't know. But then, since then, obviously, the interesting one, and you've used this line a lot of times after what you were told by Trent or you guys were, was, Trent doesn't want this playing out in public. I've done loads of contract negotiations with Liverpool before, none of them played out in public, either will this one. That's been the Alexander-Arnold party line. Yeah. Well, that's what happened now. This could not be more public. That's gone. That ship has sailed. Trent, whether he likes it or not, he's on the front page of Marca, he's on the back page of the Echo, he's everywhere, like he's the national story. So Trent isn't getting his wishes there. This is now a very, very public story. The question I suppose then is, we don't even know what he wants. Does he know what he wants? Because, and at some point, is he going to have to speak on this, Paul? Because that, again, it's out the bottle now. The genie's out the bottle. You can't put it back in. This is a very public story now, and he's going to be asked about it. There'll be broadcasters desperate for him to be around the match so they can get him in front of a camera and a microphone in front of his face.
I think he should start giving him it. Even if he's had a stinker. Yeah, someone's going. What a performance!
Yeah, so he comes on for 2 minutes against Accrington, man of the match, just so he can stick a camera in front of him. Yeah, that's the last story. Yeah, what is Trent Alexander-Arnold's mind? Does he want to go to Madrid? Does he want to stay at Liverpool? Has he actually not made his mind up yet? What's the Trent situation?
That is it. Yeah, that is the $60 million question, isn't it? It's become a dignified silence, and it's almost now an undignified silence, isn't it?
Especially after doing that.
Yeah,
Because that was, he ignore the noise, I want to stay at Liverpool. But now if it comes out he wants to go to Real Madrid, then that's almost like mocking people for talking about. I don't know, he's made a public story, you can't get away from it.
He walked past at West Ham in the mix zone, and I was there, and I said, have you got 2 minutes? And normally he'll go, are you there next week? And yeah, it's all right, see you there. And that's the normal line. And to be fair, he did that in Milan, and he fronted up after it. The Bournemouth game was the few days later, and he did come out and speak after that. But this one, he just sort of looked head down. The result was already up, a little bit of a smile, and he just walked onto the bus. So he knew that the questions would have came, the wider questions, what's going on with the contract situation, the Real Madrid interest. You were on the front page of Marca yesterday or whenever it was. But also, what was that all about? So perhaps wisely for his party, he's opted to go against adding further to the speculation. But you're right, at some stage, there's going to have to be some communication because, is this going to be allowed to drag on throughout January? And it will be a daily thing in January. It will be an hourly thing in January for an entire month. We're only 2 days in, and we've already had this being the huge headline story, on every publication really. And I know you guys have talked about it a lot already, and here we are talking about it ourselves. So it's not going away. Won't go away this month. And then you get into the summer months, and then it becomes a thing again. So, maybe Alexander-Arnold could think wisely about what he would like to get out there and speak about, and maybe do that at some point, whether that's to the likes of us in mix zones, whether it's sitting down with rights holders like Sky or whoever before a game, and maybe bring a bit of clarity to the situation. But one thing we know is the speculation won't go away, and it's going to be a busy month for the likes of us.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned there about Liverpool not giving up hope that he might sign a new contract. Yeah. I don't know if that's a good, giving up hope. We're pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah want to stay at Liverpool. Is that correct? It feels like that. Yeah, that's the general sense. It's just, can we get the contract where both parties are happy with it? With Trent, it kind of feels the other way. This is why I'm reading it as does he fancy Madrid? No one knows where he's at. Is that fair to say? Those two are edging more towards, probably would like it to get done. Actually, nobody knows what Alexander-Arnold wants. Yeah. Does he want to go to Spain? Does he want to go to Liverpool? He hasn't actually told anyone. Well, he certainly hasn't told Liverpool, according to what they're saying. Yeah,
I think that's totally fair. Yeah, from what we've had, we've sort of spoken about Salah wanting to stay at Liverpool for a number of months now, and Van Dijk's never really given any indication that he'd look elsewhere. So yeah, I think that's totally fair. And also, I think, say if all three left, I think the frustration from the fans will be aimed at the club for Van Dijk and Salah, and it will be aimed at the player for Alexander-Arnold. Now whether that's fair or not, only those privy to the details will be able to judge, really, but that's just kind of how it works. And I think Alexander-Arnold's at a bit of a crossroads now. Does he want to be Steven Gerrard, or does he want to be Steve McManaman? And that's kind of, go one way or the other. And look, he can say that he'll leave with his head held high from his boyhood club, having won every major trophy, including the Premier League, the Champions League as well, of course, and go on to a new challenge, and maybe have more of an opportunity to win Champions Leagues, La Ligas. It's a totally new way of life, a new culture, and a chance to sort of grow and develop and whatever else. And that all sounds fair enough, but rightly or wrongly, the supporters aren't going to view it that way, are they? They aren't going to see his side of things. Certainly not in any great sort of way. So I think this month is a real sort of crossroads now for him.
And it's interesting because you mentioned it, the Gerrard, McManaman stuff. Steve McManaman probably doesn't regret his decision. He went to Real Madrid, he won the Champions League, he won the Liga titles, he's done loads. Steven Gerrard actually won less, but he's idolised more at Liverpool. Both are perfectly logical decisions to make. I bet you now, if you ask Steve McManaman, he has no regrets about going to Real Madrid and winning what he won, scoring goals in Champions League finals. But it depends how much that matters to Alexander-Arnold, legacy and that kind of stuff. Because it will, there's no doubt about it. If you leave Liverpool in the prime of your career on a free transfer where you're a £100 million asset and the club gets nothing for you, that is going to be that. You know, how you leave a football club 100% affects your legacy.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Owen won a Ballon d'Or while he was here. He left kind of through the back door to Madrid, and then obviously
same circumstances really.
Went to Man United. That obviously didn't help as well. But like, and he openly speaks about it now. Like, the reception he gets at Liverpool still haunts him a little bit. Like, it's just the fact, like, if Trent makes that decision, and he's more entitled to, he signs a contract, he has to fulfil that contract. That's all he has to do. It will impact him, no matter, you know, the local lad done good, one of the greatest players Liverpool have ever produced from their academy, won everything. But if he goes to Real Madrid for nothing, there's no doubt about it, his legacy will be somewhat tarnished. And he'll have to accept that, and that's something he knows for sure. Yeah,
no, you're right. Also as well, I look at the comments he made, I think it was around about March time, because I just seem to remember it being a thing when we were in Prague for the Europa League game, when he said, it means more to us to win trophies than it does at Man City, where it's a bit more of a regular thing. Well, just replace Man City with Real Madrid there, and what was interesting was I've seen a few comments from McManaman doing the rounds from an old podcast he did with the sort of official club channels, the We Are Liverpool podcast, when he said I think they'd won a trophy and they were all in the changing room celebrating there, all singing songs in Spanish, and McManaman seems to remember just thinking, you know, this would have been great to have done this with Liverpool because I'd be front and centre, whereas here I can't really understand the culture, you know, what the songs are about and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's like we say, it's I can see the reasons for Alexander-Arnold looking to sort of a fresh challenge. But like you say, that the way you leave a club, particularly when you're a boyhood lad who's one of the best in the team, that definitely has an impact on how you're viewed for the long term. So it's a long time retired, isn't it?
I suppose the last question before we wrap up the 10 stuff then, Paul. Actually, Liverpool are adamant there isn't a number that they're going to wish to sell them for in January. This is going to continue to rumble on and on and on. We've already seen, again, go back to it, the celebration with the hand. Will this affect Trent and the team? Like that is the final question here. Listen, if he leaves in the summer, what can you do? Like, from that point of view, but from our point of view, I want Liverpool to be champions of the Premier League. I want Liverpool to win the European Cup. It's how this is all on Trent's plate now. I think he went away. I think there was pictures of him in Italy over the last few days, a little break and whatever, trying to maybe switch off a little bit from it. But like, yeah, it's important now for him and for Liverpool that this doesn't bleed into their on-field performances, because the second he has a bad game, the second maybe he jumps out to a 50-50, or he does a sprint back, which he's prone to do. He isn't exactly Speedy Gonzalez when he's running back at times.
Yeah.
This is going to be levelled at him. His head. I saw it after Fulham. His head's in Madrid. Does he fancy it anymore? Is he half on Madrid? Like, that's something that we're going to have to accept now as well. It's got to be, from his point of view, he has to be, make sure that he's on it and that this doesn't impact his performances.
Yeah.
It didn't in the last few games. He's been fantastic. But yeah, this is now, like I say, all eyes are on him for the next few months until this is resolved one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, he's used to having his performances dissected, isn't he? Particularly his defensive contributions that aren't as strong as his attacking output, which is fair to say, even though I think sometimes he's been overly criticised for some of his defensive work compared to his sort of counterparts. But yeah, that'll go on. But I think that'll be even, intensified even further. Every winger who gets by him, every cross that comes in, every sprint back that he doesn't make is all going to fuel that he wants to go to Madrid. And until he, refutes that publicly or officially with a new deal, then I think that is going to go on. And he might be able to live with that and deal with it because he's sort of already been used to it. But yeah, it's going to be one for us to keep an eye on, because it's only going to increase with supporters, isn't it? Who are going to be looking at everything now and analysing to the nth degree. So I think that is definitely going to go on. Yeah.